I think that 2019, Berwick had retired, and there was a chasm on that stage, and I think they all felt it. I think the audience felt it. I take the view that if Berwick's going to perform, fine. It has to be. He's in the show. It's no good just to write it, no good to co-direct it. He has to be on stage, and there's a loyal fan club that likes the work, and I'm never going to deny that. And I thought that tonight, strong enough performances. Probably want more pace, but Berwick's now mid-70s, and I think he has to take it carefully. It goes without saying. It's noticeably a shorter pantomime than in the past. I think we were over and done within 2 hours and 10 minutes. I think that's sensible. It's a lot, 2 performances a day. You can sense that they're pleased to be back. I thought it was important to bring something fresh into it, and that freshness obviously is the Dick Turpin character, and I think that helps enormously. I don't want to say what the spectacular moment in the show is, because I think that would be unfair to do so.
Yeah, but there is a spectacular.
But there is a spectacular, as it were, the transformation scene moment, and this, it's a spectacular one. I think what's interesting, and I don't want to do one pantomime's better than the other or not. I think you look at the different strengths of the different pantomimes now. So this is probably in the tradition of old-fashioned pantomimes. We're now in an age where I think I called the Theatre Royal one a very much a 21st century pantomime. This place, Berwick's been doing pantomime for 50 years, in fact, 40 of which playing the Dame, etc. So you've got tradition within his own pantomime, but he's also playing to the traditions of the past within that. There are routines that he's done in the past that come back into this, and that's fine. So you have a traditional pantomime. It has a little bit of sauce in it. I think the clue is probably in the first word of the title as to what certain gags are slightly being played on. I think Susie says perhaps there aren't double entendres. I think
there are.
But they rely on one word only for that, and the timing there is interesting. I thought what was most interesting was that, for me, the bit actually worked best was when it went wrong. And out came the old Berwick adapting in that moment when the microphone played up for David, and we saw the Berwick who takes over.
Yes, that was a weird moment.
It was, but he handled it beautifully.
He sounded like he had his head down the loo.
It was bizarre, but we saw the Berwick that we're used to seeing, the improvising Berwick. And that's what that will come. This is what, a week into the run effectively, so we'll see more of that. So, and to say, it's rubbish and it's our rubbish, I get that. I think it's a pantomime that feels now of its time, with an audience that has that affection for it. Pantomime has moved on from this, but that's fine. You have different pantomimes within the city. There always was. What was interesting was what used to play here should have been a lot better than it was as a commercial panto. And now you've got actually, a commercial panto that's Crossroads have thrown proper money at the special effects, for example, and we've seen a certain style that's familiar and nostalgic. The Theatre Royal is the more modern piece, has playing to a different audience, and that's what's important, is that you've got your loyal audience for Berwick, and he's providing a show that I think they'll be satisfied by, which was not the case, I think, both in 2019 when he wasn't in it. That was a show that was frustrating on all levels.
Yeah, I think it is a bit like, isn't it, having a gold radio station and a upfront hits radio station, isn't it? Yeah. We all love a bit of nostalgia. Is it not healthy then that we've got 2 completely different pantomimes, the old and the new in York?
There's an argument saying how many cities can support 2 pantomimes, and actually on top of that you've got the Joseph Rowntree Theatre doing a very good community pantomime. Now, in many cities, I suspect that with the evidence from this year, and it's partly COVID related, is that audience figures are, across all pantomimes, are 30% down. The likelihood now with the Omicron rise is that that figure could get even worse. So let's look at an idealistic situation, to which the answer is yes, there is room for 2 pantomimes in this city. You have to pray that actually the conditions next winter are not how they've been suddenly this winter, where there's obviously nervousness. Another factor, actually, again, is that people wearing masks. Does that have an impact on the banter, and I was chatting with Phil Penfold about this, and a noted critic, and Phil was saying that there's a sense that audiences in a mask probably hold back a little. Now, both audience and performers have to adjust to this somewhat, not least because, of course, you can hear a laugh, but you can't see a smile, etc. So this is a gap that actually is probably going to need to be addressed in the boldness of the performing, and I think actually maybe even an unsubtle way of telling the audience, you've got permission still to laugh, etc. Maybe the performers have got to push that a little bit more, because as of now, we're all wearing masks.
Yeah. Charles, once again, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
talking to YorkMix Radio. I think we've got to go.
We are being booted out,
We
which
are, aren't
is
we?
what many people have wanted to do to me. So.